Y'all, today's show is so good.
But number one, I've never seen an intro like that.
It is my hope and desire that not only will episode 30 still be fun, but episode 300 will be even more fun. You are made for something great, so go and be awesome.
Ten seconds remaining.
And welcome to the show. My name is Renee Hastings, and I'm your host of Renee Speaks. Y'all, today's show is going to be so fantastic, and partly it is because of our amazing sponsor, Executive Help Now. At Executive Help Now, we are all about simplifying your business so you can focus on what really matters. From streamlining operations and managing administrative tasks to producing podcast shows and keeping everything organized from top to bottom, our team is here to help you thrive. So if you're ready to make life a little bit easier, hit us up at www.executivehelpnow.org. Y'all, our guest today is absolutely amazing. Her name is Dr. Christiane Schroeter, and she is a professor, author, and business coach who helps entrepreneurs grow with confidence through mindset mastery and efficient business systems. With a PhD in health economics and over 20 years in academia, she blends research and real-world strategy to guide purpose-driven leaders toward clarity, growth, and fulfillment. As the founder of the Petite Practice, she offers a signature framework that aligns passion with profit and empowers entrepreneurs to lead with purpose. Through coaching, masterminds, and her podcast, Dr. Christiane creates strategic, transformative spaces that support visibility, self-awareness, and sustainable success. Y'all, put your hands together for Dr. Christiane Schroeter.
Hello there. I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. I am so excited that you are here today with us. And I'm going to calm down because I have been waiting for this day, like on the edge of my seat, so I can talk to you. So let me get myself together so I can sit here and speak like a normal person. So, Dr. Christiane, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. We're so super excited to have you. And I can't wait to just jump right in and find out more about this journey. We don't hear a lot about people leaving academia to go and start their own businesses. Mm-hmm. So I would love to learn more about, first of all, your time in academia, what that was like. And was it one thing that kind of led to you making the jump?
Beautiful question. And actually, the main thing that, and I love that you kind of have been teasing the audience about this, and I want to share, maybe that's also why we are so excited about this. I'm going to be sharing some of my framework on the stage of TEDx here in California, where I work. So I'm really thrilled about that. And of course, it's something that I've been dreaming about all along. My signature framework ties in with that, owning our voice, owning our vision, owning our value. And that's what I'm going to share today on this episode. So thanks so much for having me, Renee.
Absolutely. And the fact that you are going to be on a TEDx stage deserves some hand claps and applause, because that is such a tremendous accomplishment.
Yeah,
That doesn't just happen every single day for everybody.
yeah.
That takes some work. And so congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So maybe to the audience, I am actually in my on campus office right now. So you see my books in the background, you see my bags in the background, you see my attire. And that's really like how my main part of my life is structured. So I'm a professor. However, what really adds on to this and what I'm going to share here today is that I don't stop at the academic level. I teach my students after they finish classes as a business coach. And of course, I elevate them to that next level with my books that I publish. So in today's episode, I'm really going to share with you how that all ties together, and especially if you have a position to where you're feeling, I want to reach a wider audience, a bigger community with my message, that it might be really giving you some good insights and tips here as well.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely. We want to know everything you know, that you teach your students, because our audience, definitely, we're here to learn. We are
Yeah.
here to grow as business owners and entrepreneurs. We're here to widen our frame of reference, bring in all the resources and tips and tricks and tools, all that we can get. And that's one of the things I love about hosting this podcast, because the subject matter experts that we bring on as guests truly teach us. They help us be better business owners. So I appreciate you letting us into your world.
I love it. Yeah, because it's at the end of the day, it's not just like how you look or sound, it's really how you lead. To become a better leader, that's really ultimately the goal, no matter where you are in your business journey.
Absolutely, 100%. And we have folks in the audience who might be small business owners or solopreneurs. And it's just them right now trying to, figuring things out, or just wearing all the hats, because that's currently where they are. But even as a solopreneur, you're still a leader. You're a leader of your business. You're the one who's in charge of all the vendors and all of the work that gets done. You're responsible for making sure the marketing is done and everything. So you are a leader, even if you don't have people on your team right now, right?
Yes, and actually the main thing for you would be, so all of the students that I really work with, all of the business owners that I work with, you have to make sure that you communicate your value to them and that they feel they become part of your leadership style. As with anybody, the more you set good examples, role models, the more you share your own journey, the more they will align to you. So the way that I always compare it is, you are creating a message, but the message might come from your own mess, something that you struggled with that led to a certain transformation. So think about that mess leading to your message. And now I'm going to add one more thing onto it. To be really successful, it will actually lead to your magnetic purpose. So see what I just built for you is like this framework: message, magnetic purpose, where you're feeling you're really stepping into that leadership role. And your goal would be to be vulnerable and sharing that 3-step process right there. Because
Right.
the best leaders are the ones that are really saying, all right, I didn't just get here yesterday. This was what I struggled with, my mess. This is my message. And now this is where I'm at today. I'm in this magnetic purpose, and I want to elevate you to that same level.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that that is so true of every entrepreneur or solopreneur. Something prompted you to make a change or do something different. Like in my case, I started in corporate America and started my business on the side. And I put that in air quotes for those that are just listening later. So when you have, a full-time day job and you have this side hustle in air quotes, then there's something that makes you make that leap from the security of that full-time space those paid vacations and paid health insurance benefits and all of those things, that says, look, I am going to go and truly live out my magnetic purpose, finding out what that is. And so that looks different for everybody. And I love that, though, you mentioned that it starts with a mess. Sometimes it just starts with a mess. And it's from that mess that we're able to grow, learn lessons, and figure out what went well, what needed fixing, in either in myself or in my systems, so that I could actually start to operate in my magnetic purpose. Does that sound about right? Am I getting it?
Oh, yep. And the one thing that I always say is you don't just, show up somewhere. You don't just like being like, oh, here I am. You actually feel you need to stand out. So the more you can tune in with that magnetic message, the more you tune into your unique value, the more you are going to stand out, and you don't just show up. You're not just a number. You have something very unique, but it would be important for you to tap into that.
Right. Absolutely. 100%. And if the audience has any questions for our guest today, feel free to drop them in the chat. This is a very interactive show, and we get one chance to get knowledge from this subject matter expert. Christiana is an absolute expert in her field. If there's something that you want to know about how to find that power in your presence and knowing exactly who you are and how to show up well, drop it in the chat. Let her help you. Let her help you. Okay. So as we continue to move on in the conversation, one of the things that we talked about in the green room backstage before the show is the importance of mindset. And I know, like, it could be a cultural thing, it could be an environmental thing, but depending on how a person is raised or brought up, their mindset might be telling them certain things about success, or about money, or about what value looks like, or what worth looks like. Can you help us navigate ways that our audience can trust their voice, trust who they are, and move forward in their success?
Oh, yeah, for sure. This is like one of my absolute favorite topics. So the first thing really is you have to really figure out, who am I? So the power really comes from presence, and also figuring out, what is it that I want to share with the world? Earlier, we talked about the mess and the message. And now it's really up to you to figure out, how do I confidently speak, and how do I stay on stage and message with the world? And at the beginning, you might not feel confident, but then guess what? Consistency will lead to that confidence right there. So at the moment when you realize that your mindset and your presence were actually just the missing links to your success, it's really going to click. So when you stand on that stage and you see, and I always tell the same thing, the pupils dilate of the audience when they're like, oh, that sounds familiar. I've experienced the same thing. Then you know that your personal mess will be a message that will unlock some problems that somebody in the audience will struggle with. And then your purpose will become magnetic. So that is the number one thing. You need to make yourself present, and you need to make yourself available to really stand on the stage and share that message.
Yes, absolutely. And you mentioned earlier vulnerability. You have to be vulnerable enough, I think, with what you're saying, to let people into that space that you may have struggled with, and be honest to say, look, I come from some mess. I've been through some things. I've made some bad choices. I've had some bad people in my life. I've had these bad things happen to me. Whatever. All of that it takes vulnerability to share. It takes, because some people may be embarrassed. They might think that people might look down on them if they knew all the stuff, And so nobody wants to be looked down on. And so how do we, maybe even getting to the root of that vulnerable space, how do we tap into that vulnerable space to get brave enough to share those things?
Oh, yeah. I always say confidence doesn't become immediately evident. You first need to become clear on what it is that you want to share. So, clarity and then confidence, because the more clear you become on what you want to share, what your message is, that will be something that then will really amplify. And I also think that you need to become somewhat okay with the fact that at the beginning it's going to be hard to stand on a stage or to share things on a podcast or in a video or anything, but it will become easier over time. Because I have a framework that's called petite practice, taking small steps, practicing along the way. Nobody ever starts being a pro at something. You have to slowly build it. And small steps, petite in French, and practice means that over time you're building that confidence right there. And you don't feel you're just saying something, but you're actually sharing your vulnerability with a mindset that you're helping others. So this
Right.
is so important that when you speak, that you feel my message will create momentum for others to follow my advice that I'm sharing, because they will resonate with what you're saying. And again, it's that magnetic momentum. And they will also see that I overcame it,
Mhm.
and maybe reach out and ask questions about it. So you're building this community. But at the same time, I think the mindset is truly that sometimes people feel embarrassed or ashamed about things, where you really, as a leader, the best leaders are the ones that are sharing very vulnerable how they got to that point, that message and magnetic purpose transformation.
Right, exactly. And Nia Robinson has joined us on the show, and she said that that's the part that she's struggling with, staying consistent with the right mindset. Some days it's just hard to keep showing up the way that she wants to. What advice do you have for her?
Mm. So it depends on, we all have those days, first of all.
Yeah.
And let's maybe like go through a framework that I use a lot with my clients, is with my students as well. And it's like, if you imagine, there are like three buckets, right?
Mhm.
One bucket would be, it's an amazing day and it's just absolutely fabulous. You get up and it's like, woohoo, I can conquer the world, right? The
Mhm.
middle bucket would be, it's an okay day. I kind of like, it's just like a so-so day. The third bucket would be, that's the hard day that you just ask about, where you're getting up and you're like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. Nobody seems to care. And it's truly hard for me to keep going. I'm trying to write this book and it's not growing. And I'm questioning why I'm even writing it. And la la la. It's like this vicious circle of questioning everything that you do. On those days, you need to remember that you have three buckets, that the buckets are not always going to be a perfect day or an okay day, or that day that's maybe not going great. That maybe on the next day when you wake up, you're back on the great day or on the okay day. So you need to remember that our life comes in circles. There are valleys, there are hills, and you will need to remember that there are great, okay, and so days to make you aware about that, to make you really appreciate that great day. So, what can you do on that day that's maybe not a great day? You can create visual reminders from that day that was amazing, which means you could put sticky notes around your workspace, right? So, maybe mantras, quotes from clients, testimonials, maybe even greeting cards that you receive that mean something to you and remind you about your unique value, your message that you're sharing with the world. It's
Mhm.
tremendously uplifting to read
Yeah.
like a sticky note and be reminded, like, oh, that's kind of nice and very sweet. Or maybe you even have a vision board. So instead of just having one sticky note, you have images that remind you of vacation with your family, with your friends, places you want to go, which is why you're running your business. Maybe unique little things that have been little cornerstones in your journey to where you are today. And
Yeah.
now this leads to the next thing, your vision board. is also a reminder about how far you already have come. Sometimes in our mindset, all what we see is all the work that's ahead. But how about looking at the work that you already accomplished?
Yes.
I frequently tell my clients, what did you think about? Where were you 5 years ago? And then they're like, well, that was like really like a really difficult time, you know? And I mean, here we are in 2025, and you think 5 years ago in the middle of the pandemic, you're like, yeah, that was tough. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so you're not there. You've come a long way since then. So you also need to celebrate your small wins. And you don't need to think about the past 5 years. It could even be like the past week, 5 days.
Yeah.
But you
Power.
need to make sure, exactly, the hour. You need to make sure that in your mindset, you don't just think about your to-do list. You also think about your ta-da list and celebrate that.
Yes. Oh, I love that. So many golden nuggets in that, what you just said. I love how you said celebrate the wins. Don't be so focused on what didn't get done, but focus on what you have done, all your accomplishments. I love how you said, pull out. I don't think I've ever thrown away a greeting card, a birthday card, a Mother's Day card, a Christmas card. I have them all, especially those with handwritten notes inside, and these cards of appreciation and thank yous and all the things. I have like literally drawers full of these cards,
Yeah, I have
and
a whole bunch here. Look.
they're to me from other people, and they say, Renee, you're awesome. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much. That was 10 years ago, but I read it like yesterday, and it was like it still had that same feeling of joy and just a feeling of accomplishment and appreciation that somebody thought enough to put pen to paper, not an email, but pen to a paper, and then go and put it in an envelope, put an address on it and a stamp, and take it to the post office. What? Do you know how much effort that is? That's a lot. But, in this day and age, I mean, it used to be normal, but unfortunately, things aren't that way anymore. So when someone does that today, you know that they really mean it. And so it just means that much more to get it. I have a friend who sends me a card for every single holiday and my birthdays and all the things. And I just tell her, you know how much these mean to me, and I appreciate you so much because I know the care that she takes to put them together. And so, anyways, I may be belaboring that a little bit too long, but I just want to stress the importance of it and the impact that it has. It's so important and so valuable. And Nia said, thank you, that she totally agrees with celebrating the small wins. Tiana has joined us. Happy Friday, ladies. It's such a great topic today. Definitely the reminder I needed right now. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Tiana, for being here. Definitely join in the chat if you have any questions for Dr. Schroeter. She's here to help us be the best versions of ourselves that we absolutely can be. And when it comes to, I want to go back to Nia a little bit. One of the things that helps me when I'm thinking about mindset, when I get the opportunity to wake up, I call that a win. Mm-hmm. So if I'm on the wake up list, gratitude number one. And so I always try to maintain an attitude of gratitude for what I have instead of thinking about what I don't have or what I didn't get done or who doesn't like me or what all those negative things. I don't dwell on those negative things. I think about what I have, what I bring, the value I offer to people, the value, the who I am being enough to bring some sort of joy and happiness to somebody, whoever's presence I get to be in. When I fix my mind like that, and I'm with this attitude of gratitude, it's hard to stay in a slump or to get depressed or to stay sad or to get down or to beat myself up, which we can tend to do as women business owners. We can really tend to do that. But when you switch your mindset to thinking about all your accomplishments, like Dr. Schroeter was saying, celebrating those small wins, truly a game changer. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us. and Daily Movement Workshop is with us. She's getting handwritten cards and notes. I know, right? Oh, that's so cool. I
Yeah,
love
I
them so
know.
much. So, Dr. Schroeter, when we think about visibility and leadership, why do you think it's so hard for entrepreneurs to embrace this aspect of themselves and the understanding the relationship that it has toward the success of our business?
I think that we sometimes underestimate, especially if we are solopreneurs working from home, that we actually need to leave our home to build connection and collaborate with others and community. And I
Yes.
know, of course, it's amazing to have Zoom. It's amazing, to connect on Instagram, on social media, everywhere. However, I'm a firm believer that strategy is what will scale your business. That's totally. But to really connect with others, you need to be present.
Yes.
So you need to meet people and align your strategy with your presence so that you can actually show off how amazing, unique, empowering you are, that others will latch on to this magnetic purposing. I
Yes.
think that we underestimate that we really meet people. We need to meet them face to face. We really meet people in so many places. In, you could turn around at the coffee shop and start talking to the person behind you. But
Mhm.
you need to take that step out of your home. And guess what? My best ideas for my books, for my coaching, for my podcast came when I actually was not sitting at the computer.
Mm.
The whole premise of my TEDx talk is going to come from a walk that I took when I was not sitting at the computer. And maybe during that walk, I even talked to 3 neighbors about how their day is going. And that shifted my thinking a little bit as well. But
Mm.
I need to really emphasize that you can be an amazing business leader rooted in strategy, scaling, and really building out. But what you at the end of the day need is you need to figure out what makes you happy. And
Yeah.
hanging out with people will make you happy.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think that too goes to finding out who you are. Are you an introvert, and where is that place that you get that energy? Or are you an extrovert, and is it out in places like Dr. Schroeter and I think are extroverts, and we get our energy from other people. And when you work from home, man, I'm telling you, there are no truer words. Zoom is great, yeah, but for business, or, and on some aspects, but you need that connection, the people, the I have found that when I've stayed at home for too often, for too long, there are I can go a week and just go from my room to my office to the kitchen to the bathroom, back to my office to my room. And it's like, and never even leave my front door to even go into my yard. I mean, if we're not careful, those kinds of things can happen. And day after day after day, that's just not healthy. We need people in our lives. We were not made to be alone on this earth. We need community. We need collaboration. And how can we collaborate if nobody knows us? Right? So we have to get out there and get known.
I love it. And I love that you just shared that because I'm sure it resonates with the audience. And it actually even resonates with a lot of my clients. So I conduct my coaching via Zoom. And I
Mm.
always say, I need to see your face. I don't really care like how it looks like, how you look like. I am not coaching to a black screen
Right.
because that is, I want to connect with people. And only if I can see your face and your reactions, I really feel that I'm actually moving something, that I'm creating momentum.
Right.
And
Right.
and I think that is just so powerful and important because you are present with me and I see your presence, and because I'm a visual learner as well.
Yeah.
And that kind of also ties in a little bit with what you really want to do in the world, right? Like magnetic message that we talked about earlier. Everybody wants to leave a legacy in the world. If you ask them,
Mhm.
especially if they are more advanced in their business, what is it really what you want to do? They might say, oh, I want to scale further, da, da, da. But everybody wants to be remembered for something, for
Yes.
some unique contribution to the world that made your corner of the world better. While we can't change the whole world, you can change your corner of the world. So
Yes.
you need to figure out what is it that you are creating in your corner of the world that makes it better. And again, I talked earlier about the pity practice approach. It could be something exceptionally small, and to you, it might not even be very meaningful. Now, this is important. You need to gain the confidence that whatever that is truly meaningful because it was a struggle to you, it was your mess. And you can use that message then really to gain that momentum to help others. The best entrepreneurs helping others, and that helps themselves. So
Mhm.
by stepping out and actually talking to the audience and listening to what they say, you can come back and you can refine that message and really scale your business. But you have to be present with your clients as well, showing up really. That's important. But at the end of the day, you have to be present with them.
Yes, 100%. And then Nia says, you are 100% an extrovert, Renee. Thank you, Nia. Confirmation, I'm an extrovert. And I love people and I love learning and I love being able to teach and share and do community and do life. People definitely give me life and give me energy. And I couldn't agree with you more, Dr. Schroeter, that
Mm.
it's so important to figure out who you are and how you're going to add value to your corner of the world. Like whoever gets to cross your path, that should be a moment that they never forget in a positive way. Like you have sprinkled rainbows and skittles on them with your presence. And they leave your presence feeling a shift or different or better than before they met you. And that to me, I think is one way that we uh, become more visible in the lives and by being showing up and being present. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you can always ask yourself, what are like 3 simple things I can do today to make myself more present? Even if you share what you maybe in the morning, like your prep at your desk, right? You're setting up your little office at home and you just do a behind the scenes. It's still showing, oh, this person is showing up. They're getting out of bed, they're showing up. This is how they set up their desk. This is kind of inspiring, the behind the scenes right there. And
Yeah.
that doesn't even require you speaking to the camera. It just requires you running your camera while you are doing actually something different. So that's like
Wow.
maybe one easy way to show up, right?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Like honestly, I mean, if I'm right here, this is my space. Right here is what we see, and I'm just like, but do I really want people to see what's under the curtain? Oh my gosh, I don't know. But it could be because, like you said, it shows I got out of bed. I put one foot on the ground and one foot in front of the other. Dr. Schroeter, have you ever seen the movie What About Bob?
I love that movie.
It is one of my favorite movies in the
Same,
whole world.
same.
It, it's so old, and the half the audience probably wasn't even born when it came out. But I'm just saying, it was such a great demonstration of what baby stepping to progress looks like. And the whole scene where he's in the doctor's office and he had to baby step and out of the elevator and baby step to the office and baby step to the couch, and I mean he just baby stepped his way through the day and made it through the day. And anyways, if anybody has ever watched that or has never watched it, definitely look it up. Well, it's probably available on YouTube by now. Because it is so good. So Dr. Schroeter, as we talk more about these baby steps, why don't you tell us? I think that's a great segue into the petite practice techniques. What makes that unique, and how can we implement it for ourselves?
Beautiful. Yeah, actually, when you said baby steps, I was like, yeah, this is exactly the petite practice framework. So petite, I am originally from Germany, born there, and speak fluent French and German. I actually teach my children German as well. It's a fun fact, right?
Nice.
And what I always loved about France was that there is this pride in this culture about the things that they create. And it doesn't even have to be big, or it doesn't have to be like strong. It could just be a very small thing. And that very small thing, if you keep doing it on a very consistent basis, will lead to something quite powerful.
Yes.
So think about petite, the small action you could take as a business owner. Maybe, as I say, next time you grab your coffee in the morning and you go to a coffee shop, you start talking to the barista and you just ask, oh, where are you from, by the way? I don't think I've ever asked you. And you figure out their background. And then next time you go back, you can ask them, oh, so have you visited your family or your friends recently? And now you know their name, right? So
Mhm.
we are stepping into this presence of building community, of building connection, of feeling you're part of something like a network.
Right.
And so the petite practice is, it's small, it's powerful, but there's also purpose in there. And remember what we just talked about, the power and the present and changing your mindset. You don't always have to spend a lot of time or money or even other resources to really create momentum. You just have to make sure you keep doing it on a consistent basis. And that over time, it's kind of like a train that starts chugging along and it just keeps going. And you're part of this train. You're like, I'm moving. I'm really like crossing some miles here. That's how it really works. You're creating momentum. And,
Yes.
and of course, along the way, your experiences could even be shared back with your audience again. So
Mhm.
they will become cornerstones in your coaching, cornerstones in your teaching, but also cornerstones of failures that are just as important as the celebrations to share, because you feel, oh, this year didn't work for me, and let me share why. That is an
Mhm.
immense teaching moment. We don't always just want to feel like this person is just succeeding. We also want to hear, what is it maybe that didn't work out for them? And
Yeah.
that will make you a much better leader.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. So share the good things that are part of your cornerstone. Share the bad cornerstones, because they're all learning opportunities and learning experiences that can encourage and advise in a better way. Because so we don't have to make all the mistakes ourselves, right? We can learn from others.
Correct. And
And
what I always say is fail, right? The word FAIL just stands for first attempt in learning.
oh, I
So
love that. Oh, wait, say it again. Hold on, we can't rush past that. Fail.
so
F
F
A
stands
I
for
L
first.
first
The A and in fail stands for attempt. And then
attempt.
your I stands for in, and
Mhm.
then the L stands for learning. So
Learning. I
if
love
you
that.
take your very first petite practice, and the word is practice, it's not called perfection. It's not a petite perfection.
Right.
You're trying something and you're like, okay, that was, remember the three buckets. That was great. It was okay. Or maybe it was not so good.
Yeah.
And then if you remember when it's not so good, remember that there are three buckets, and it will come back to, it's going to be amazing. So you just have to keep going, because that was your first attempt. So
That's
I mean, it's just like when you throw a basketball into a hoop, your first throw might not be getting directly in, but you
right.
just keep practicing, and then over time it's going to work out.
Yes, exactly. I love that. I love how you reframed what failure is. Failure is not a bad thing. It is your first attempt in learning. That's a positive thing. And I wanted to maybe I'm taking your advice and being a little vulnerable here and sharing when you were talking about taking an interest in people, and I'm going to go back a little bit to our Starbucks conversation, going to the coffee shop, uh, uh, and taking an interest in the barista, learning more about them, taking time to get to know people, and that resonates with me so well because I literally years ago had a blind spot in this area where I didn't realize that I had this trait that was that showed itself that was a negative trait that I didn't even recognize that I would do these things. And my husband said, "Do you know that you do this, when we're here and when you're doing it?" I was like, "No, I don't." And he's like, "Yeah, you do." And basically it was me putting myself at the center of everything. Like the world revolved around me and I was the center of the universe. Okay, I'm just coming clean. Okay, that was my thing. And I did not recognize that I was so self-centered. I was very self-centered. And this took a lot of self-introspection and, words from my husband and eventually even a word from my boss who said, "Renee, he said, you're already really good at what you do. But if you're going to be successful in business or in corporate America, you have to take an interest in people and the things that are going on in their lives. You have to develop relationships." And I was like, "But that's not what I was hired for. I was hired to do a job." And so I just need what I need to get my job done. I don't need all this relationship business. And so he was like, yes, you do. And you're going to need to work on it because right now, this is not working. And so for me, it was really hard for me to think about others first, which to me, saying that now just seems so idiotic. Like, who can't think of others first? But I had a hard time. It was a challenge for me. And so I had to practice like almost like a robot. When I see somebody, I had to say to myself, ask them how they're doing. And then I would say the words, "So, how are you doing?" And then they would say, "Oh, I'm done." They would tell me how they're doing. And then I had to make myself listen and like pay attention to what they were saying. That was such work for me, Dr. Schroeter. I was like, "Why is this work? This is hard." But over time, with practice and consistency, it got easier and easier, and then it became much more natural. And now it's a part of who I am. And I'm like, how could I ever have been that person before? But I hope what I'm saying is making sense and somebody can relate to this.
First of all, I love so much that you shared this. Thank you. Because I think that the majority of the audience will completely relate to this, especially as female entrepreneurs. We tend to think, well, I need to take the next step. I need to go to this next prong on my ladder, get the next promotion, go after this, go after that. And you're so focused on your progress that sometimes you tend to forget, hold on, why am I actually doing this? I'm doing this to help others. Am I? What I said earlier, the best entrepreneurs are the ones that help others to help themselves, right? I think that what sometimes happens in life is you are kind of like so time crunched, especially if you wear multiple hats, that you tend to prioritize one thing. And that is why it's called petite practice. You need to make sure that your calendar, and my calendar does look like that, has multiple colors. I'm like a very color coded person, multiple colors for different activities, and that there is a social aspect to connect with others in there as well. So maybe you have some CEO hour in the morning because you're most productive in the morning. But then maybe you go to a gym and you take a yoga class, or you go for a walk with your neighbor, or maybe you go to that coffee shop and connect with that barista. And
Mhm.
maybe then you connect with your partner or your family or your friends, or you actually write a greeting card and you put that in a mail and you send that to somebody. I mean, that takes really 5 minutes, right? We're not talking hours here, people.
Right, right,
So
right.
then what you need to think about is my calendar like a little bit of like a potpourri of colors that shows me how diverse I am and what my value really is to the world? Because remember what I said, at the end of the day, we all want to leave legacy. And you
Mhm.
can't leave legacy if you don't share it with others, if you don't hang out with others, and if you don't really build other relationships with other people. So it's a
Right.
constant progress of your presence, you're building your presence, and you're maybe establishing new connections. It's constant. It's like you're going out in the yard and you're transitioning from spring to summer, from summer to fall, from fall to the winter, right? You need to think about like that. You need to tend to relationships, and that also means that we become better listeners than speakers. Always listen first and then speak.
Yes, great advice. So good. And going back to our fail, Lucille M says, if at first you don't succeed, congrats. You've officially learned something. I love that. Thank you, Lucille. Thank you for joining us. And then, so yes, I 100% agree with you that we have to have this explosion of color on our calendars so that we can see that we're balanced. We don't have too much, red or too much, whatever color that's not the people color. We need the people color in there as well so that we can make sure we're doing community and doing life with people, following up with people, sharing things with people. The cards you mentioned, if we meet somebody along our journey and they say, oh, I like cars, and you happen to be reading an article or something about cars, forward it to them and say, hey, I thought about you when I was reading this article about cars. you know, that it doesn't take much. It doesn't take long, and it goes a long way for people to know that they're being thought about. I mean, that's a big deal. So that's awesome that you share that with us. And those are nuggets that we can definitely, words of wisdom to live by and grow by.
I love it. And I love that you mentioned the car example because Renee, I love your transition and how you said I was very self-centered. Now I think about others. You might not personally be passionate about cars, but
Right.
that's the important thing, that you are remembering that person is. So it's taking the focus away from you and shifting it to that other person. And the fact that you remember it speaks volumes. That's such a beautiful example.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And it truly was. In the very beginning, I honestly felt like a robot, just going through the motions. But I love how you said it's petite practice. We just practice, 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 and practice makes perfect. Well, gets us closer to perfect. So, Dr. Schroeter, before we run out of time, can you tell us, how do systems help entrepreneurs grow with ease?
Mhm. So the most important thing, and I love that we just talked about connection, would be you kind of need to figure out, because you are not perfect and you're not a machine, how can you rely on little tools in your day-to-day life? So for instance, you talked about that barista that you met in the coffee shop, or that maybe you want to connect with others. And I'm going to tell you the one sentence that I hear all the time in my clients, all the time. If I would get some money for that sentence, I would have a big heap of money in the background right now. I'm just not good with remembering names. And I
Mm.
hear that all the time. And it's like, right. Do you think I'm good with remembering names? What am I like? Do I have like an elephant brain or something? I honestly think maybe there are people that are amazing with remembering names, and that is truly like a fact of science.
Mhm.
However, I think you need to put an effort in. You need to put an effort in learning it. So now a system for you to remember names, to build the connection we just talked about, is you're carrying it in your pocket, your little computer right there. So how about opening up the Notes app after you meet people at the coffee shop or at that network meeting or on the street when you were walking, right? And you just open the Notes app and you can find a system for yourself. But let me just give you an example. You could do a location-based system, right? Coffee shop, barista's name is that. They come from this area. They have a dog, and that's how you connect, because maybe you have a dog too, and they like their milk steamed, blah, blah, blah. Right? They're like fun little things, because guess what? This is how people will remember. You come back and you ask about that dog, their eyes are going to light up. They feel you just made their day. And that feeling is like crazy for you, because you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I just asked about that dog. And they are like standing there as if I just gave them a hug and a promotion and a birthday card all together, but you didn't do all that. You just asked a simple question. Right. And now this is the important thing. That is a very simple system right there. So again, writing down things in a note app. You could even, this is like your bonus system right here. You have friends. We talked about the birthday cards. You could even create reminders on your phone a week ahead of time to send a birthday card. But also, and this is a new thing on Apple now, you can even schedule messages. Schedule messages. So spend some time, go through birthday, and then schedule out birthday messages that are sent on their special day.
Wow. Brilliant. Brilliance. Brilliance. Where's our hand claps? This is some brilliance right here. I love it. This is so good. I love these systems, and they're so easy. We already have them. We just need to use them. And the more we use them, the more impact we'll have on other people's lives. And our corner of the world will be that much better for it. So thank you. That was so good. I absolutely love that. I was actually at a networking event with, people who are like super networkers. And I don't know how I got in this group, but anyways, they shared with me one of their tips. And one of the tips that they do is they take their phone while they're talking to this person they want to keep in touch with, and they do a selfie together. Mm-hmm. And when they do the selfie together, they save it to their phone and create a contact and make the selfie picture the contact image for that person. So then when they reconnect in their phone, he can remember, oh yeah, that's that person I talked about, cars with, or whatever it was. And so that was one of the systems or tools that they use to remember people, because, a person's name is the most important thing to that person. So when you can remember somebody's name, that's a really big deal, y'all. That is a really big deal.
Those are the words of the wise Dale Carnegie right there. If you have not read that book, go for it, right?
Yes.
Find friends and connect with more people. That would be really like the word you have, the book.
Yeah.
It's always a topic. Yeah.
It's by How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Beautiful.
Yes, that is one of my favorites. I have the book. I downloaded it to my phone. It's a really long read, but so good. And he also wrote another one called How to Stop Worrying and Start Winning, or something like that. Yeah. So I love Dale Carnegie. I actually was a Dale Carnegie leadership training coach for a little while.
Me too. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. And we learned in that coaching program how to remember the names, to remember. Oh my gosh.
I do. That was such a great lesson. And our instructor, she used her body parts. Like, anyways, I'm not even going to try to do it right now. But your hand and your wrist and your arms, and how you remember the different things that you're going to talk about in a different thing. And you associate their name with something that you see. Like,
Exactly.
yeah. So, and there's some house, or anyways,
I
field
have
party
to
game.
remember
So
the house, building the foundation and the roof, and
yes, yes, and the fireplace, and then the airplane with the sparkly lights.
we're on it.
We're going way down a tangent.
Okay, whoever did not do the training, this is what you learn.
Right.
Planes, houses, and the whole shebang.
It's a great program. Highly recommend it.
It's beautiful.
So in closing, I know we just have a few minutes left. We definitely want to give our audience an opportunity to learn more from you, stay connected with you, find out more about what you're doing, mark their calendar for your TED Talk, all the things. So let us know how to stay in touch with you.
Well, first of all, we talked a lot about that magnetic message. Would love for you to take my Discover Your Superpower quiz, which is in this beautiful raspberry color right there in the top part of my website. So check out my website, drchristiana.com. Take that superpower quiz. And I love that this tree shows the different seasons right there, because even if you feel like, I'm not so sure about my superpower, it's going to bring it out. It's going to be like the sun is going to be sparkling on you, and you're going to feel like you're stepping into your unique value. Secondly, of course, check out my podcast, which is called Happy Healthy Hustle. And the beautiful thing about the podcast, it truly follows my petite practice. It is small, it is powerful, there's purpose in there. And of course, you might just learn that one more step, how you step into that presence and grow with your presence. And then lastly, of course, check me out on Instagram, because I'm going to document my whole journey to that TED stage right there. So go to my Instagram. It's dr.christiana. And recently, I'm just like teasing this right now. I kind of like have some clothing that I got. So I'm going to share my stories, the different clothing options. Yesterday, I ordered some jewelry. So this is like the good stuff, the behind the scenes. You cannot miss that. Go for it. Yes.
Wow, I love it. What a great Instagram page. And what a great idea to document your journey toward the TED Talk in your clothes that you are fashioning and modeling and showcasing. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. That's fantastic. So definitely, audience, stay connected to Dr. Schroeter. If you want your life to be better, if you want to figure out how to gain this confidence and develop this power in your presence, definitely stay in touch. So in closing, Dr. Schroeter, what's one lesson you wish every entrepreneur knew? If they don't remember anything from today, what do you want them to remember?
I want to give you one more acronym to remember, and it's just 2 letters. N-O. No. No always stands for next opportunity. If something doesn't work out, just move on.
Oh,
Move on. No does not mean that it's the end of your journey. It just means there's another opportunity that's just waiting right around the corner, but you have to keep going.
I love that. No. And I love how you just reframe the perspective that you can have. It's a mindset thing, and how you see these words. No doesn't mean no. It means next opportunity. That means they have just saved you a ton of time and effort and energy so that you could go where you're supposed to go.
Yeah. It's a redirection, it's just a little course shift, but it's not like you're like going to turn around. No, that's not how it works, right? You're just moving on. You're like, okay, so why don't I turn to the left? Or, oh, yeah, this is how it works.
Right. I love that. Thank you so much for helping us reshape how we see these words. Thank you so much for your time, your expertise, and all the gifts of the gray matter that you have shared with us. Dr. Schroeter, you were made for something great. So go and be awesome.
Thank you so much.